Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to We Call Bank. This is episode 4 of the podcast. Now, we're recording this on a Wednesday, so there might be some stuff that we're missing. I should come back on Friday and finish the episode and talk about some of the stuff that happens. Depending on how long this is, maybe it goes up tomorrow, and then I just do a new episode for Friday. It just kind of depends. I mean, if it's like 30 to 40 minutes, maybe I just upload it anyway, and I'll get a little bit of a treat for 2 episodes this week. Maybe I bring somebody on for Friday. And if I do Friday, then it might be some like top 10, top 5 list. And I have an idea for when the NFL season starts of doing over-unders. So basically pretty much, there's a couple ideas. One, when the NFL season starts, so say week 1, whatever the like the primetime matchup is, whatever the one that comes on late, like 8 or whatever time it comes on, we can bet on that game okay, well, that's one idea. Bet on that game. And then 2, who we think is going to be on the team of the week or player of the week. So, we got all the teams. We can kind of look through the matchups, and we'll, pick a player. Like, we think Zadarius Smith is going to be player of the week. I think he's going to get 3 sacks, some tackles for loss. So we can kind of okay, this guy's, going up against this team. That's not a good team. And, we might want to bet on that player, to be player of the week. Now, that's going to be real hard to hit on because there's only one player of the week, offense, defense for both conferences. And then, like I said, the over and under stuff, like when the season starts, we'll get we might do it next one that me and you're on. I'm thinking you pick 5 players, rushing, like receivers or running backs. So you'll go in, find their, say, either rushing attempts or rushing touchdowns, write down that player, either the rushing yards or whatever, and then you'll have those 5 players. You'll ask me, did they get over or under 1,200 rushing yards?
Okay.
And basically kind of like trivia, but over-under style. That way you don't got to be exactly accurate with the yards. You just guessing if you think they had over or under that for the season. So I think that could be a good idea. And then obviously when the season starts, we can do that with the real games before they play the games. We'll be like, all right, Justin Jefferson, they're playing the Cowboys. We think he's going to get over or under 70 yards. And then, bet on that. And we can kind of keep track. And that way, there's some kind of game implication into the podcast. So let me know what you guys think about that. If there's any other ideas, let me know. But first topic of the day, we got Katie joins a Twitter space and talking about it was a Twitter space called or named Katie Isn't Top 5, I think is what it was called.
Yeah.
And he came in there and telling them that, the way they consumed the game was trash. Y'all were putting team success into how good a player is. And that was pretty much the gist of it. I don't know what else he said. I was going to play it for you guys, but maybe I'll go in, edit, and I'll play the clip for you, put it in there before we start talking about it. But so let's go off of this. I think Katie, you could put him in somebody's top 10. I wouldn't be mad if I heard him in somebody's top 10. Career average 27 points, 4 assists, 7 rebounds. I mean, it's a pretty good stat line. He won Rookie of the Year, 6-time All-NBA First Team, 1-time MVP, 2-time Finals MVP. One of those maybe should have been Curry's, and 2-time NBA champion. So he's got the resume, not like a Jordan, these other players' resume, but I mean, if you put him in top 10, I feel like he would have to be in a latter side of that top 10, like somewhere 7 to 10. It's probably where I would have him. But what do you think about it?
So the thing is Lowe was the one, Legend of Winning, the one that appears with Agent. Yeah. He was the one that started it. He kind of, the way he put the title of it was a little weird because he said top 5. What he was meaning was top 5 last season. But his interpretation of it was who can get to the rim better. That was his whole thing, was who can get to the rim better and didn't play or played more games. So KD, I think last season played 50 games. So he was saying KD wouldn't be top 5 in there.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, I don't remember who his 5th was. I know he said Giannis, Curry, and
getting to the
Jokic.
rim?
Yeah, get to the – basically that's what he was saying. Rim what was he calling it? Hold up. I wrote down what he was calling it because he was calling it something else.
Yeah.
Rim pressure. That's what he was calling it, rim pressure, getting to the rim. Free throws, all that. I feel like if you're going to put a top 5 like that, you need to put someone like James Harden in there. But it's just the way he worded it made it sound weird. KD, how I feel about that is
Well, yeah, I didn't go. I figured it was just like a top 5 all time.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go back and see really what they were talking about. So maybe Katie didn't know that was exactly what they were talking about.
Yeah.
Because if they're, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I was just kind of going off what Katie said, and I figured it was about like top 5 all time or even top 5 right now. Um, so yeah, I mean, if I don't know what Katie was talking about if they weren't if they were talking about rim pressure, but I mean, if you're doing rim pressure, I mean, I don't know really what they're going into that. Is it like, okay, this dude can get off the dribble, can get to the rim and make people collapse? Is it dude posting up and getting to the rim, making people collapse? Like, what's the because if we're going that aspect, then LeBron's still probably the best at getting to the rim out of anybody in the league right now. So yeah, I don't really know what they're talking about.
It's complicated because, like I said, when I first saw it, I was at work and I didn't have service to watch it. So I just watched, like, you can look it up on YouTube. They have like 10-minute, 15-minute clips. I watched the 10-minute clip, and I really did not care anymore what they had to say because it's like if you're going to say top 5, you can't. You got to say top 5 at this specific thing if you're going to put it like that. If you don't need to just say top 5. And I don't know for me, but then he turned around and Katie was, on his butt about it, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, I'd put you top 10 and stuff like that." And Katie didn't really seem too mad about it, but I don't know how I feel about Katie joining it because it's like, bro, you know who you are. You're Kevin Durant. I mean, I know everybody gives you crap, including me, about joining these teams and trying to be a super team. And
I mean, I think it's good that he's communicating with the fans, stuff like that. And I mean, if they went back, kind of talked it out, and the guy said he would put him top 10, like, I don't know. I think Katie just had something else on his mind, and he just wanted to join and let people know that stop trying to factor in team success into how good a player is. So I think it was just he had a chip on his shoulder from all the stuff that people talk about him. So
yeah, my thing is though it seems like every time KD does talk to the fans, it's always about something they're saying negative about him, like he's a little butthurt about it, which I understand. I mean, you want to clear your name. You are one of the greats. My problem with the low take about the top 5 is it's just kind of ridiculous just to put top 5 and then not really say, about this. I understand the missed games thing, and that's why he didn't put Joel Embiid up there, I think, because he did miss some games too. But it's like, realistically, if you put a top 5, I understand not putting KD in there, just saying top 5 anything. But realistically, it's not about just getting to the rim because KD is a scorer on all levels. He can his main thing is kind of mid ranges.
Yeah, he's really a pull up.
So I mean,
kind of guy.
It's just like to say rim. I mean, that's one thing, but put that in there. You know what I mean? But it ain't no big deal. I just think that Kevin Durant, he just wanted to clear his name. He didn't like most people. He didn't know what was going on when it said just top 5. He maybe top 5 all time. That's what I thought too. I thought top 5 all time too whenever he wrote that, which I mean makes sense. I mean Kevin Durant's not top 5 all time, top 10 all time. I'm not putting him top 10 all time, and it's not because he ain't a great player. He is. Currently he is top 10. But
I'm saying like if you squeaked him in near the end of it, like 7 to 10 maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe, but I mean, and about KD saying the team. I mean, being able to make your team better is. I mean, to an extent, it goes into how good you are. But, I mean, it all comes down to what are you making the top 10 list out of or what are you making the top 5 list out of. You got to kind of clarify, okay, if you're making this top 10, are you factoring in championships greater than anything else? Are you, factoring in MVPs? Like what are you – different people are going to factor in different things more than others. So it really just kind of depends where you're going with it. But team success, like, I mean, if you're talking about point guards or whoever on the team is primary ball handler, like Jokic, he's so good, but he also makes his team play way better than take Jokic off that team and give them Embiid. They're not going to be as good. I mean, they're still going to be good, but the way he gets his teammates involved, it's just nobody does that like him. So I think you put Embiid on that, and they're not doing as well. So, I mean, making your team better does kind of fall into that category. Like I said, if that's what you're going off of. So, I mean, if that's not something, then you need to clarify that kind of while you're talking about it as well.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, one of the things is Also in there, like Katie was pressuring him about it, which Lowe, I mean, I ain't gonna say Lowe let up because Lowe, he did stand his ground, but Katie was pressuring him about it, and then he started talking about how Monty Williams was complaining about free throws and all this other stuff when Katie wasn't even on the team then, and it's just like,
Yeah.
what are you arguing about right now? Like, what are you saying to him? Like, just tell him how you truly feel about it. Say, hey, bro, look, here's the situation. You're not top 5 again to the rim. That's it. All right, that's all that matters. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's kind of hard to say that. It is kind of hard to say that because it's all about a lot of things take into account for that. The coaching takes into account to that because what is he going to have the offense like? Well, like, do you want these players on the wing? Do you want these players on the corner? What? And then the defensive coaching factors into it too. Like, what if you build a wall like they do on Giannis? I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to just say that they're not good at it or they're not doing it as well. I mean, it's hard to factor any of that into it and just say that he's not doing it as well as other people are.
All right, we'll stop beating the dead horse here and move on. Hawks trade John Collins to the Jazz for a second-round pick and Rudy Gay. So just off rip, it was obviously a salary dump. Collins has been in trade talks for 3 years. They made that good playoff run, making it to the conference finals, and they gave him an extension. I want to say that year is why they made it that far. I think that's why they gave him the extension, because they were kind of playing well. And it's just, you bring Capella in, and now John is forced to be a good shooter instead of, an all right shooter. So it kind of hurt his development a little bit with Trey. They were a good dynamic duo, but you bring Capella in, now you need John to really be a shooter. And Capella's just – he's already hit what he is. You're not going to be able to get him a jumper. It's just not going to happen. So it kind of hurt John, and he's, like I said, he's been in trade talks for years, so we don't even know if he's giving us 100% every game. And, it was time to trade him. People knew that we were trying to get rid of him for 3 years, so they're like, okay, we'll try to get him for pennies because no one's going to give us a good deal for him. And the Hawks just kept, declining all these deals through the seasons, and now it's got to the point to where, people aren't value. People might value him, but like I said, people aren't going to give him a good offer in trade. So, yeah, like I said, it's more of a salary dump. Collins is owed $78 million over the next 3 seasons, and it gives the Hawks a little bit of room to extend Murray or Hunter, or I think Okongwu needs a deal. Sadiq Bey, who we got from the Pistons, who I like. He needs a deal, so it kind of frees up a little bit of money for us to extend some players and maybe sign a player in this offseason or this free agency. And next year, maybe it opens up for us to have a little bit of money to go get another all-star potentially. Maybe Murray gets traded mid-season. But I don't really think it's going to hurt us much. If anybody is a Hawks fan here and has watched Hawks games, Jalen Johnson he's just as athletic, I would say, as Collins, kind of the same build as Collins. Maybe over time can even be a better shooter than Collins. I kind of like his form a little bit better. So I don't really think it's going to be that big of a change. Jalen played a good bit last season. I think he'll be ready to fill in that role. But you got anything to add?
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of good and bad for the Hawks because, I mean, Rudy Gay, he is a little old. He shoots pretty decent still. So you kind of –
he's like a bench piece. I mean,
yeah,
nothing crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's just you're getting a future second rounder, you said?
Yeah, second round pick.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell that the Hawks were kind of just giving whatever for scraps. And, I mean, Rudy Gay, you kind of just getting someone old, and you're kind of just focusing on now, clearly, because you gave up someone young. And for the Jazz, that's fantastic. Because they got Colin.
All I'm going to say is that some of the stuff that I was seeing, it's so crazy to me how as soon as a player gets traded, people think he's just Jesus on earth. Like, he's just the greatest thing coming to the team. Like, people saying Danny Ainge what is Danny Ainge cooking up in Utah? Nothing. All right, let's keep it real. They're not going nowhere next year. Okay, marketing's good. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Collins is all right. I don't know who else they were putting in that top 3. But they're looking.
They got
way
Colin
too
Sexton.
Sexton's good, and I think he declined his option or something. So I don't even know if they're going to have him back, or maybe the team declined it. But they're acting like I don't know. They're just taking it way out there. Like, okay, you got 3. Your front court's good now, but is it really that good? Like, yeah, I think y'all are overvaluing it. Marketing can shoot, but the other two, Collins, I don't know if they're thinking he's knocked down or something, but you still got to have floor spacing, and you're still going to need Collins to hit threes.
Yeah.
You might make playoffs, but when you get to playoffs, Collins isn't that consistent from three, and it's going to cost you. So it's going to make you want to bench him, and that's going to hurt you. So, yeah, he'll get you rebounds. He's good in the paint. He's good on pick and roll, but he's not a consistent shooter, and that's why we had to get rid of him. So, anyways, continue. But just some of the stuff I was seeing, I was like, dude,
I think it was a great deal for the Jazz. I mean, even though, like you're saying,
flies back, dog.
Yeah, I know that. So, yeah, I mean, it ain't nothing crazy, but I mean, for the Jazz, it was a great deal. You know, they do got a solid team. I feel like they could make playoffs. I don't feel like they're going into any conference finals. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's a solid team. For the Hawks, here, let me say one more thing about the Hawks. Just one more thing that we found out today. ESPN, did you see that? Did the rankings of the next mock draft? And
about Bronny?
Yes. I hate that because it's way too early. You don't know where Bronny's going to do what Bronny's going to do this season. I mean, he's going into college.
I don't know what our record needs to be, or if we're picked 17, that's out of the playoffs, right?
17. There's
30 teams, right? So that would mean we had to be like 7. No, we could have. I think that means we could have made. We'd have to be like 8.
I think y'all either have to be in the play-in.
Yeah,
or
either play-in or like 8 seed playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but
wait, no, I think it was pick 23. It said.
I thought it was 17. Either way, it was a later pick.
Yeah.
I don't see us doing that bad. Like, I don't know. We haven't lost much. Okay, we were 7th seed this year. I don't see us getting worse with the new coach. Now we're gonna have a full year under with him, and it seemed like he kind of helped the team out a little bit. So, and we don't even know what pieces are getting brought in. So yeah, it's way too early to be saying that. But I mean, if we're at that spot and Bronny's playing good, and we happen to be that low, in the picks, whatever. I mean, he's kind of gonna be like a point guard or a shooting guard. So I feel like he's got to be – I mean, he's not the tallest. He's going to be strong, but I feel like he's going to have to be really good defensively for him to really go in the first round. But, I mean –
yeah, it's saying 25 Lakers. I don't know. These are weird. But, yeah, it's saying late first round. It's just – my thing is this man hasn't even, he hasn't even played his first game in college, and you're already just projecting him first round. I understand he's good, he's decent. You have to see what he's going to do in college because college players are some dogs because they're fighting for that NBA spot. So it's just like that's ridiculous. And then seeing LeBron, you know what I mean, which everybody knew. He's been said it. Whatever team Bronny goes to is the team LeBron is going to go to. And I feel like I understand that's kind of cool. To have a father and son play on the same court, that is cool. But it's just like I don't know. I just feel like that's not – it's just too much power in a player's hands. And I understand it is one of the greatest of all time. But it's just too much power in a player's hands to say, okay, this spot, that's where I'm going to. And I feel like that's just like – and I understand if he's a free agent. But if he somehow – which I think he will be a free agent. But if he somehow it has to be like a trade, and he requests, and he says,
"No, I think what it is he's on contract for 2 more years, but his last year is option, so he can opt out and be a free agent. So if you don't get drafted to the Lakers, he can opt out and go wherever he wants. So I don't think it's
yeah. Well, clearly Trey had already said something like "see you soon" or something like that on Twitter, which I mean, obviously, why wouldn't you want LeBron on your team? But it's just like. Dang, bro! Like I don't really like players having that much power. I understand, it's good for players to have some power because why do you want to be stuck on one system forever if that's not where you want to be, especially in your first couple of years? For instance, like Scoot, I think it was like the Hornets were gonna pick him second or something like that, and then they were like, he was just I think he declined to go to the training camp with them or something. I don't remember what he did, but it's just like. I understand you want to be on one certain team, but it's just too much power. That's just how I feel about it. I don't love the idea of him just saying, "Oh yeah, this is the team I want to go to. I'm going there no matter what." Even if the team don't want me. Like what if LeBron, God forbid, I would never want anybody to get hurt, but what if LeBron this season gets hurt and then it's like like a Paul George type injury. I can't see a 40-year-old or a
Coming back.
39, coming back that crazy, that quick on top of that, and just saying, all right, yeah, I'm going to be on that team, and the Hawks being like, oh, yeah, it's LeBron. Yeah, he's definitely going to come back and be the same caliber.
I mean, yeah, I kind of hate where sports are heading in general, where it's like the good players are just hopping teams, team hopping every year. I don't really know a way around it per se. I think the owners just kind of put their foot in the ground and not let it happen. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe like as far as the rookies, like I don't know. It's tough because the players can just kind of force their hand, force the team to trade them, saying I'm not going to play or whatever the case may be. So then it's like, okay, we got to at least trade him for something. Yeah, back in the day, it was like, okay, these good players, you knew what team they're on, and they stay on those teams for a long time. And they kind of build that identity of, oh, the Timberwolves, they got this guy and this guy, or when people talked about them, they knew what players were on the teams because they've been on those teams for so long, and now it's like, yeah, you seen the Timberwolves? Who's on that team now? Like, these players are just moving around so much that the people that aren't like into sports as much as a lot of people, they don't. They think Kobe's still in the Lakers. They don't he passed away.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know Kobe passed away. I've been talking to a few people about Kobe. They'll be like, "Oh, he died," and I'm like, "Yeah, bro."
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of don't like it too. I wish there was more. The players staying on whatever team they've been drafted to for longer. I mean, I get if like that team's not willing to pay you what you're worth and stuff like that, but I mean when the team's got the money and I don't know. I don't really know. I think it's too far gone. I don't really know. There's really no morals in the players that makes them want to stay on the team unless like Damian Lillard. I mean, if he goes somewhere now, I don't mind because I mean he's been with them for so long. He's tried to win. Like he has tried to win, and it just hasn't worked out. So I guess we'll kind of move on here. Segue to Warriors starting lineup now. He's texting me something about you saying them showing Chris Paul in the starting lineup.
I'll show.
There's no way. There's just no way.
Right there. Chris Paul, Curry, Clay, Andrew, and then Draymond at center.
Well, what I got wrote down here is Steph point guard, Clay shooting guard, Wiggins small forward, Draymond power forward. And I don't know if they still have Looney under contract, but I got him at center. Obviously, they might go small ball. If they go small ball, I don't think Chris Paul is ever going to start. Now, he might play more minutes than somebody that's a starter, depending on how the game goes, but I don't think he'll ever start. Like I said, they could run small ball and put Curry at shooting guard, Chris Paul at point guard, and then Draymond to the center. So just kind of move everybody up a position. But I think it just depends what the other team's running. I don't think it's ever going to be a situation where Chris Paul's starting, but, I mean, they both kind of have their injury history, him and Curry, so maybe, Curry resting a couple games and then Paul's playing and then Paul's resting and stuff. So, I mean, I think that's more likely to be the lineup. I know I think DiVincenzo or whatever opted out, so he's not going to come back to the Warriors. They still have Gary Payton, I think, so that's a good bench piece, but I don't really know where they're going. I think their bench depth is kind of not the greatest, so not sure how good they're going to be. Obviously, the starting five, not bad, but Draymond might not be back. He might be back. He might not. And, I know they were talking the Kings, Trailblazers, and somebody else was interested in him. I feel like he could fit with the Kings pretty well. Just Herter and Fox, I feel like the shooters they are, he could kind of help them run the offense. I feel like they could run kind of a Golden State-ish offense. Because Kevin Herter's that dude, I don't know. I miss him on the Hawks, but he's really good. Love to watch him play. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think Chris Paul is going to start, but what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, my thing about it is there's just so many complications in it. Like, for instance, Clay could get hurt, and if Clay gets hurt, then you're going to have Chris Paul and then Steph Curry at shooting guard, or Andrew Wiggins be out for some games, or Andrew Wiggins just say, hey, or Steve Kerr, just say, hey, we're benching Wiggins and putting in Chris Paul, blah, 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 all this other stuff. So, well, obviously not Chris Paul at small forward, but knock everybody down. Yeah, but it's just Draymond, I looked up his height because I knew he was like 6'7" or 6'8". It says he's listed as 6'6". I do not Or I think that's what it said.
Yeah, I think I was looking at one of the. I was trying to figure out who was going to play center for them, and I looked at somebody I thought was a center, and it was like 6'6" or something. I was like, ain't no way that dude's that short.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think that, but then again, they have like Anthony Davis and all them listed at like 6'10" and stuff like that. I think they're actually like 6'11", 7.
Yeah.
But it's just 6'6". Yeah, I think he's actually like 6'7", 6'8". But the thing is, you would say, oh well, he's too small. But if you go back and you really look at it, because I watched those games of Game 1 versus the Lakers in the past postseason. Anthony Davis, I think, had like 30, 32, something like that. And I believe that they just had Looney on him most of the time.
Yeah.
And then the second game, which me and D, shout out to D, were talking about it, AD is just so inconsistent anyways. But then he turned around and scored 11, and Draymond was on him most of that time. Yeah. So it's like, he can guard the big men that are scorers. I don't know how well it's going to be guarding them every single time. Like I said, AD was just inconsistent. On top of that,
yep.
He, guarding them every single night, guarding big men that are talented every single night is going to be a little hard. But I believe they could do it. I think that was just – it wasn't an official page that posted that. It was just a page saying this could be the potential starting lineup. I just don't see it happening like that because, like I said, that's even if Draymond comes back. I mean, Draymond might not. It just depends on if the Warriors really care about their future, or if they want to win right now. Either way, it's fine. But you just, I don't know.
I mean, I saw they wanted to extend Clay for a long time, so they want to give him, I don't know, maybe a 3-4 year deal. They're too small with Paul at point guard and moving everybody down. Curry's just not going to be big enough to guard a lot of those players, and I feel like I said, Chris Paul is going to be like more of this running the second unit, like somebody to make sure the offense is good while Curry's not on the floor.
Yeah.
And kind of like how, Trey and DeJounte are. When Trey's not on the floor, Murray's running the offense. When Murray's got to take a breather, then Trey's still in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's good that you'll have somebody that can run the offense, when Curry's not in. So, I think it's good for the team. I mean, what they gave up to get him, I don't know if it was worth it, but it's kind of like a win now move. If they want Draymond back, I feel like they had to get rid of Poole. So, and like I said, we'll see if Poole's really that dude when he has no other stars around him and it has to be him, leading the offense. So, sound like a football leading the offense. But yeah, I don't know. I don't see Paul starting with them, but who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, I feel like kind of like the Suns, like you were saying. I feel like it's just going to be, so that way there is a star on the court at all times because they could take Curry and Wiggins out and put in Chris Paul and another bench player and just boom, you still have a good team. But the thing is I mean, Wiggins, he has good defense. So if you have him at forward, he could probably guard the power forward. He has great defense. Draymond, Clay, they all have great defense. So even if, size is an issue, they do have great defense. You just got to hope that someone don't overpower you in size like a Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah, like Curry does play good defense. Like if you watch him play, he tries on defense. So it's not like he's just a complete liability out there. But, I mean, when somebody's bigger than you, there's not. I mean, you can only do so much. So
yeah.
But moving on to Victor Wembanyama, Victor Wemby. So Dallas, I wasn't even going to talk about this because I didn't really feel like it was that. Like he was saying, people were talking crazy. I saw the clips of him missing in the media shoot, and on Bleacher Report, I think. But I didn't know that people were really taking it serious. I don't know if there was really people talking crazy in the comments like that. But I mean, he's human. People are going to have bad days, and he's at a media shoot. It's not like he's out there really trying to make shots. Like it's like everybody does. They go to the court and they're just over there just throwing up shots, just lackadaisical, like not really trying to make them. Not that you're trying to miss, but you're not really putting all your focus into making the shot. So, I mean, he's got a lot of great centers around him there, in the Spurs organization. They're going to get him right. They're going to put some muscle on him, hopefully, over the years. So, I mean, I don't expect him to be, like, super dominant the first year or maybe first 2 years. But once he, gets some experience under his belt, he knows how to, play against the double teams and stuff like that in the NBA. He'll be good, but I think people were looking way too much into it. I know he wasn't going to play in the FIBA Cup or whatever, and now it's came out that he's not even going to play in the Summer League. So, Yeah, I don't know if that's really. I mean, it's fine. Like, I mean, no harm, no foul. But people want to see him play, so it's kind of like a disappointment to a lot of people. But I think he's plays in France. I think so. I think they're like championship and stuff like that. Their season just ended like maybe 2 weeks ago or something. So he needs some sort of an off season. So rushing him to play in the summer league and stuff, the Spurs probably don't want to do it. And if he doesn't want to do it, I don't think you shouldn't really care. I mean, look, you're going to see him when you see him. Stop worrying about him playing in the summer league. It's really pointless. I mean, I think Trey played most of his games, but most draft picks, they might play 1 or 2 games. Like, they're not playing the whole time, and they're not playing a lot of minutes. So, I mean, we saw Zion. We didn't get to see. I don't know. I don't think Zion played in the summer league.
I know he played in preseason.
So, yeah, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
But my thing is, some people taking it serious. Like, when I texted them, I was like, oh, people are taking this a little serious. It was some people, like, he's already a bust. He's already dog. But then it was my main problem with it is people clowning him for it. And it's like, dog. So I watched the first clip, and it was like maybe 30 seconds long, and it was from whenever he took it at a mid-range, missed, took 2 threes, missed, and then said, oh, frop it, and just went up and dunked it, and then just walked off the court. But then I was like, let me go back and watch and see what he actually did. And, I mean, he made like 2 or 3 mid-ranges, I believe. Most of his makes were dunks. And then the only threes he shot were the 2 at the left wing. And it's just like, yeah, he missed. But like you said, everybody misses. You have all this pressure on him. Like, I want to go back and apologize for – I watched the last video, and I was like, oh, he ain't going to be KD. And even then I stopped myself from saying that. Me personally, as far as right now, I don't see him being that great, but he possibly could be. He could be the greatest to ever do it. He could be. Anybody could be. Undrafted draft picks could be. You know what I mean? That's just how I feel about it.
If I could go behind us right now and take 10 shots right next to the rim, I might miss 5. Like, I'm not warm. Like, you got to get warm. He's not out there running and getting warm. He's at a media shoot. He's not trying to sweat. Like, he's not out here trying. Like, you come in the gym, it's cold. Like, it's gonna take you a minute to get in the groove. So, yeah, to me, ain't nothing to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I just don't like people clowning him because it's just like he's gonna see that and feel even more pressured. And it's just like, bro, he's just, you know what I mean? He's just shooting around for the people that want to see him. I understand, like you were saying, it's a disappointment for the summer league thing. I don't even think whenever he did say he was going to play, I think he only literally said he was going to play like 1 or 2 games or something like that.
Yeah,
he wasn't going to play much anyways. But I support his idea not to play in summer league. 1, why would you want to risk the chance of getting hurt? 2, you just did all this stuff and people are clowning you, so obviously you want to practice more, and that's probably what he's going to go do is he's going to practice more. Even though he is a great player, he's just going to practice more just so something like that doesn't happen again, because there are great shooters all the time that get embarrassed like that, like Paul George in the three-point contest, which stings. But at the end of the day, Michael Jordan was in the three-point contest. He has the lowest score ever in the three-point contest, and I mean people are calling him the greatest of all time.
Either last year, not like this one that just happened, but the one before, and he stunk it up. I don't think
Yeah, I don't think he won it, but yeah, he definitely wasn't. He wasn't scoring crazy.
So I mean,
it's just,
come on now.
I feel like, you know what I mean. It ain't that big of a deal. He don't need to feel pressured by it. It's just people being dumb. Nobody's got anything to do, so they're just commenting, calling him trash, saying he's a bust. I mean, bro, he ain't even touched the actual NBA court as far as a minute played. I mean. You know what I mean? As long as he plays preseason.
So kind of going through Bleacher Report here, we got Bucks. Bulls extend Vucevic, $60 million, 3 years. Definitely good deal. He's top 5, maybe centers, maybe a little bit out of the top 5, but he's really good. He can shoot the ball.
Yeah,
it's hard to find big men that can shoot the ball, so that's a good to lock him up. Did you see the Tobias Harris stuff or whatever?
Oh yeah, people are saying that he's not worth, I think. Well, or people are talking about trading him, and then people are like, "Oh yeah, he ain't worth it or anything," and he's getting mad about it. Tobias Harris is a good player. Like,
he can play defense. He can score at all 3 levels. He has a really good post-up game.
Yeah,
I remember watching
he's a big reason why the Sixers did what they did last season. I mean, he ain't the biggest, but he's a big reason.
Yeah, I'm watching him in the playoffs when we played him in the Hawks. We ended up beating him, Ben Simmons year, but no, he's a good player. I mean, it's hard to find players that can do it all like he does. Not that he does Not that he does them at like a elite level, but he's a good player. It's hard to find a 4 like that.
See, that's the thing. That's the thing. He just scrolled past it. They're talking about Paul George. Okay, I'm trying to remember. Oh,
No, that was most overpaid NBA rosters, which, as much as they've played in the last 2 years,
yeah, he played
you
more
can
games
say
than
that.
KD. He played
But
52 games,
I mean,
and I think
I don't
that's
know.
the exact number that what's his name, Kawhi played. My thing is I hate the hate that Paul George is getting, because he really ain't that bad. He still shot well last season. He's
No,
still
I mean, I don't
played
think
great.
anybody's. Oh, I don't know what you've seen, but I don't think anybody's saying he's not still good or not still elite.
People were talking about
just
how,
the injuries, you know.
Yeah, the injuries suck, but people were talking about how that he should have been on the Trailblazers. That people were wanting to trade him to Trailblazers, and people were like, no, that's an awful deal for them. But then they were talking about trading Scoot already for Paul George, and people were like, no, Paul George, why would you want him? Blah blah blah, injuries. I get it.
I
do.
wouldn't do that because I mean this is like a 20-year-old player coming in. Like Paul is good, but one, they're not in position to win right now, so there's no reason that would be done. Yeah, that would be stupid to trade for Paul for Scoot. No, I mean that just.
I feel as long as you get a decent front court, if you get Paul George too, you're making it deep in the playoffs.
Scoot is like, okay, 15 years of future possibly. Paul George is like, okay, you got a good 5 years, maybe a little less of him still being healthy enough to play. Not that he won't still be good, but just the health. I mean,
yeah.
That,
But
to me,
then again, Scoot could be dog water.
He could, but
I mean, here's my thing.
I'd rather
Trailblazers
think on the younger
clearly
player.
are worried about now because they're not trading Dame. If they wanted to worry about the future in Scoot, they would go ahead and trade Dame. Go ahead, unless they're just thinking about leadership, which clearly Dame is one of the best leaders in the NBA.
Yeah.
But if they're thinking about the future, they should trade Dame. They should. They could get a lot out of Damian Lillard.
Yeah, if they're going future, you trade him. If you want to win now, then okay. I mean,
I say
I
get
can
Paul
see getting
George.
Paul, but
Yeah. But I get what people are saying. He is injury prone. I mean, you know what I mean? He does have a shoulder or a knee or something every so often. He did play more games than people really recognized last season. I mean, he was going to come back in what I don't like about Paul George, and I love Paul George. What I don't like about him was when the playoffs were going on, I think it was game 2, right before game 2, he had already started his podcast, and he was talking about, hey guys, I'm going to let y'all know on the podcast if I can come back or not. You don't do that, all right? This ain't a brand new video game that's coming out, and you say, oh, this is information. No, bro, you could have possibly helped the series a lot because I know Kawhi, I think, played game 1, then got injured.
He played one game, played really well, and then couldn't play after that.
I think he scored like 35 or something.
Yeah, he played good.
But, yeah, and then got injured, and then, when you're missing Kawhi and then missing Paul George, and then you got Westbrook, which played really well in the playoffs. He did.
Me personally, Kawhi goes out. If I'm Paul, I'm thinking, I'll be honest, I don't think I can win without Kawhi.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I get him probably not wanting to come back because it's like, I mean, okay, you might get past that first round, but, I mean, it's going to be tough without Kawhi. So
they had Norman Powell, which had to play great all season. I think they got Eric Gordon with them. So, I mean, it's just Zubac. He ain't a bad center at all. I thought he was going to be trash or was trash, but he's a decent center, especially for that team. But, I mean, if Paul would have came back, I could have easily seen them either taking it to Game 7 or Game 6 or beating the Suns. I mean, the Suns had no depth in their bench, and, I mean – I don't know. I feel like Paul George coming back really would have helped them, and he just didn't. And it's just like to play games and say, "Oh, well, on the podcast, I'll let you know." Like, bro, don't do that. This ain't a brand new video game. You don't just give out information like Ronnie 2K. You tell us straight up, you're coming or you're not. And
hey, man, you gotta bring the eyes to the podcast. You know what I'm saying? I'll let y'all know next week if I'm playing.
I'll let y'all know next week if I get shot.
What are we talking about?
I'm just saying.
All right, moving on. Going through the NFL, we got Patriots re-signed Devontae Parker, 3-year, $33 million. Not a bad deal. He's a good, really good 2. I don't know if he's really a 1, but I will say he's a good 2. Definitely a good 2 receiver.
He's the best receiver on that team.
Yeah, I don't know if they drafted a receiver or not, but if they didn't, then he probably is the best receiver on that team, and they obviously needed to keep him around. Other than that, still no Dalvin signing, still no Hopkins signing.
I saw something about Saquon, but I feel like it was just saying something about how what we already talked about. I think
I think they were like
something.
Yeah, I think they were getting closer to re-signing him or extending him, but I mean, other than that, I don't know.
My dad wanted us to talk about Tom Brady, and I was like, bro, there's nothing coming on with Tom Brady. He was like, well, you could make up something like rumors, like, oh, if he comes back to a team. I couldn't see him ever coming back to a team, and the only team he could come back to because he's becoming an owner of the Raiders, I think.
Listen, Jamie.
That's the only team.
Isn't his name Jamie?
Jackie.
Listen, wait, is Bradley's dad's name Jamie?
Yeah, Jamie.
Listen, Jackie. We are not supporters of Tom Brady on this podcast. All right, so now I'll give credit where it's due. If we're making a top 3 quarterbacks all time, he's obviously on that list, man. I mean, I'm not going to argue with you. Me personally, my top 3, I like Peyton in there, personally. Which I haven't went back and watched a lot of the older quarterbacks. Pretty much the only thing I watched of Peyton growing up was the Super Bowl right when he retired. He beat Cam, and from that game I liked him. I went back and watched some highlights of Peyton and seen him. Obviously, I've seen Brady a couple times. I mean, he just retired last year or whatever. So, I've seen him over the years. I've experienced the comebacks firsthand, 28-3. So I'm not denying his greatness. I don't think there'll ever be anyone like him that, runs 2 miles an hour and can put up the yards that he does. And even when he needs to scramble, somehow he still gets it done. But top 3, I think I got Peyton, Brady in there. And then, I mean, where do you go? You can go Montana. You can go I like Brett Favre a lot. I know all the stuff came out with the money. I don't know how much of that was true, whatever happened with that. I really liked watching Brett. I had a jersey of him when I was real little. Other than that, who else could possibly be in there? I mean, I wasn't really geared to talk about this, so there's not many names popping in my head. I can't think right now. But
I mean, some people say Joe Namath. Some people say
I haven't really watched much of him.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm not gonna see that. That's what I want this podcast to know. That's just who I am. I'm not gonna sit here and I was born in 2000. All right.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about stuff. I ain't going to. The names that I know are because I know them and I've watched them. But a lot of the players that y'all might put in there, I'd go back and watch some film on it, and even then you're watching highlights, so you don't really know.
You don't know the full story. It's just that's my thing, and that's just how I feel about it. I know a lot of people will come and fake around and be like, "Oh yeah, I watched Steve Young back in the day," and bro, they were born in 2005. Like, I'm not, and that comes for basketball too. I know players that I grew up and watched, and I know players that I've seen stats or highlights or videos of. I'm not going to sit here and watch the whole 88 to 89 season. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that, and I'm not going to act like I do that. I know in my mind how great I think a player was or how they are. So I'm not going to sit here and be a fake. Top 3, like you were saying, I'll rank them. I'm putting Brady 1. I was going to put Montana 2. And I was going to literally put Peyton 3. That's just how I feel about it. I mean,
top 3, Peyton, Brady, Montana. That's a good top 3.
Yeah, I mean, it's just there is a lot of quarterbacks to think about. I mean, there are quarterbacks present to think about.
Now, I will strike you deep right here with this one. I think Mahomes is better than Brady ever was at his peak. Like, I think Mahomes, like the last year, is the way he plays, the way he throws the football, the wheels. Like, I think at Mahomes' peak, he is better than any season or any time that Brady played.
Brady and Moss, they played pretty good together.
I think, but skill set, everything, I feel like, because obviously, I mean, if you're factoring in the running, and now if we're going just passing, I mean, obviously Mahomes has a bigger arm than Brady ever had, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Like I said, I haven't watched. Like I've only watched probably from like 2010 up. Like I haven't watched, and even then I wasn't real into the game. So I didn't get to see him play the whole season. But I just know from what I've seen of Mahomes, he's that guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I might even say, like I said, that he's better than Brady ever was. Not that he'll ever have a better career than Brady or overall, like,
Yeah.
not that he'll ever be over Brady in like any kind of top leaderboards or anything, but I just think in as far as having a good season and his skill at their peak, I feel like Mahomes is right up there.
Now, the thing about a good season, I think it was the Moss season. I'm not sure. We can double check one time. I think they either went undefeated or they lost one game. So I wouldn't say better season, but I would.
And
say
you got to think Mahomes did this last year with who? Kelsey. That's it.
he had Juju, didn't he?
Come on now.
I mean,
Don't even.
he had Juju.
No, don't even. No. We're not going there. Did they re-sign him? No, because he's a bum.
I'm
Sorry,
just
DJ.
saying.
Not a bum, but you're just not that guy either.
It's just my thing is Mahomes as far as a player, like you're saying. As far as a player, I'm taking Mahomes over Brady, just because, like I was talking to my dad when I was walking out. Like not only does nobody want to see, but on top of just how the game is evolving, you got to be mobile because O lines they just seem like.
Well, it's just like, the edge rushers are getting so much faster,
much
more athletic, longer. Like
and it's
hard.
just like O lines. Unless you have a solid O line all around, like the Eagles, maybe the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Unless you have something like that, it's hard to just run the ball or just pass it because you don't have a lot of time. And it's just like nowadays you have to be a mobile quarterback. And Brady, he saw that, in his last years. You have to be mobile because the Tampa O-line, and, I mean, it was –
They had good tackles, or they had one good tackle. Wirfs is probably top 3 tackles in the league right now. I think he had some injuries going on, but they lost a lot of their O-line, retirement, injuries, stuff like that. But
yeah, I mean, it's just – Mahomes, I would put him over Brady as far as, like – it's hard – it's so hard to say because it's like it's kind of skill-wise. Kind of like if you look at NBA, like, I don't know, like Paul George. Like the reason I like him so much and the reason why I just respect him and I have him ranked so high is because – and people are seeing it now. Like you see it all the time now. People are saying it, but I've been saying it. Like Paul George has that skill. Like he can pass when he needs to. He's not the best passer. I'll go ahead and admit that. He could dribble. He could score. He from anywhere. He plays amazing defense. He's everything you want a player. And one-on-one, I see him beating some of the people that are top 10 all time. That's just how I feel because he's skilled. Because the thing is, the game has evolved. So just like football, the game has evolved. So now there's stuff that other people weren't doing. Like, for instance, you didn't see people doing the Patrick Mahomes throw that, he's, in air, midair, sideways, throwing it. Like, you just didn't see that. No-look passes. You just didn't see that. And Mahomes is doing that now, and it's just – I don't think he'll ever be above Brady, but I do see him as a better player than Brady.
I will say
overall.
The time did freeze on the GoPro, and I was able to recover it last time, so hopefully it does.
Oh my God, I didn't see that.
But I just noticed it. I was like, "What is that even moving?" But I think it'll be all right because it saved last time. But that's the top 3. Like I said, right now, obviously, nobody's putting Mahomes over Brady in, like, any kind of top list.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, I think at their peak, which we don't even know if this is Mahomes' peak yet.
Yeah.
Mahomes has the potential to, climb and get rings, maybe even tie Brady for rings. But he's going to have to – I mean, he did it without many receivers last year. So, I think that proves to me, which Brady has done it too.
Without many
good receivers. So, that's why I feel like they're kind of in a league of their own as far as doing it with teams that you would think aren't, capable of doing it. Their defense wasn't the best last year. I know their best corner, Chiefs, Snead was like injured in a couple of the playoffs games, and that's their best corner. So, I mean, he did it with a team that most people didn't think they'd be back. So, I think they're kind of in that realm of their own, him and Brady. And like I said, I mean, just in general, like if you're asking me, do I want Mahomes or Brady? You know, I might. I mean, I'm probably taking Mahomes. Like if you're redrafting, and you know, I've seen what Brady's done. Now, well, how do I word this? Because then you'll be like, well, Brady won 6 rings, so why would you
Yeah.
take him? I just mean like seeing
Under
how they're
Belichick,
at
though.
their seeing at their peaks and stuff. Like I'd rather have somebody that's a little bit more mobile. So I'll probably go with Mahomes, man. You got the arm, you got the run, you know, you got the legs. So
Yeah.
obviously people are gonna be more tuned to going for Mahomes, but. I mean, who knows? Maybe Mahomes leaves Kansas City without Andy Reid eventually, and we really see if he's good without the coach.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's what Tom Brady did. I
knows?
mean, everybody was like, "Oh, Belichick," and he went and won one without Belichick. Thing is, I mean, because I mean, he did bring a lot of people with him.
I mean that team was stacked. It's
Yeah.
not like the team wasn't stacked. It was
I mean,
stacked.
he had a decent defense, a great defense, an amazing defense, and then he brought Leonard Fournette. What's his name?
I mean, they got Godwin, Evans, Miller, like,
and then
their
he
team
brought
was stacked.
Gronk.
All right, their team was stacked.
And then it just kind of fell through the next year.
Yeah,
I
Gronk
feel like
retired everything.
next week, what we could do is.
Why are you whispering?
Oh, I feel like next week, what we could do is we could like predict, like, for instance, last generation's, top quarterbacks were like, Brady, Manning, Rivers, all them, Breeze. And I feel like next week we could like do what this generation's was compared to last generation's. Like Brady.
What is this, like 2010s to now or something?
Kind of like who's the next Brady? Mahomes is.
Yeah.
Not because of how they
you mean
play.
comparing the older players
Yeah.
to the new players?
So who's the next Brady? Mahomes is. Who's the next Manning? Allen is. That's just how I feel about it. Who's the next Rivers?
Maybe.
And then you just go on from there.
Yeah,
I feel
maybe,
like we could
maybe.
do that. But yeah, I mean,
Well, this is probably just going to be an episode on its own. I mean, 52 minutes in, going deep. So Friday, I mean, I might not do one Friday. It just depends if I have enough topics. I might do a little short one, but I guess that's going to end it here, Jackie. No, we'll catch you in the next episode. Brady is, top 3.
he's got to be the greatest of all time. I mean, 7 rings.
I can't
7
say
rings.
I can't say GOAT. You'll never hear it. So I'll catch you guys on the next episode. Deuces.
Peace.